How's it going, everybody? Nathaniel from RCInsight here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new 2020 MacBook Pro. This is the M1 chip version of the MacBook Pro with a 13-inch screen. I'm going to be breaking this video up into several parts. I'm going to start by going over some of the technical specifications. Then I'm going to talk about a few key things, including how it performs, battery life, optimization, so on and so forth. And then at the end, I'm going to close by giving you my thoughts and feelings and my experience with it in the first couple of weeks of having it, and that will be my review. So to start off with some of the technical specifications, I got the space gray version. It also comes in silver and rose gold. It has a Retina display, 13.3-inch diagonal LED backlit display, 500 nits of brightness, which is not super noticeable, but I'll just demonstrate the brightness for you real quick. It's not super noticeable unless you're in really bright sunny areas, but the screen does go up quite bright, you can see. So this does feature the new Apple M1 chip, which is an 8-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, and a 16-core neural engine. The battery on this is ridiculously impressive. Apple says that you get up to 17 hours of wireless web, 20 hours of TV and movie playback. There's also 8 gigabytes of random access memory. It's configurable up to 16 gigabytes, but that is something you'll never need, and we'll talk about that later. Storage, the standard is 256 gigabytes, but again, it can go all the way up to 2 terabytes of a solid state drive, which is, again, ridiculous and probably something you'll never need. There are 2 Thunderbolt USB-C charging ports in here. There are no other ports, so if you're looking to load CDs, SD cards, HDMI, any of that stuff, connect it with your computer, you are going to need an adapter, which I have. I actually have this handy little Anchor adapter right here, which you see has, USB, SD card, HDMI, so on and so forth. So that's nice and handy, but you are going to need that if you're going to want to connect things to this computer because it only has the 2 USB-Cs. It has a 720 pixel HD camera on the front, obviously no back camera. The audio is something that is really impressive on here. It has 2 wide stereo speakers on the side here. They are studio grade speakers. They sound incredible. They sound as good as like my Bose speaker. It is ridiculous. It's operating the Mac OS when it's using the latest version of that. There's a few things that I want to specifically draw your attention to, and the first thing is the speakers. I briefly mentioned them already. I'm just going to play some music for you real quick, just so that you can get an idea of just how good these speakers really are. Maybe I'm done with the fire. Maybe we're alone, it don't make sense. Maybe it's all that I've been done. Deep down here, I'm innocent. So you get a good sense for the speakers there. They are really high quality. They are quite incredible, if you ask me. And while we're talking about the audio that this thing provides, the other thing that I want to talk about is not just the speakers, but its ability to record audio. The other day, I actually recorded a video. I'll have it linked in the description so you can see. I lost my microphone, and so I was forced to use the microphone on the computer. And it is as crisp and clean, if not cleaner, than my microphone audio. It is impressive and will probably what I use for anything that involves screen capturing. I'll just use the built-in microphone to record my audio because it was just really good. Better than most microphones I have gone out and bought as additions in the past. So the next thing I want to draw your attention to is the processor. The processor is probably the most important thing about this computer. It's what sets it apart. Everything else, True Tone, LED display, Retina display, all that stuff, even the audio, while it's interesting, while it's maybe a step up from previous versions, it's the M1 processing chip that puts this ahead of everything else. Now, Apple showed some pretty vague graphs at their presentation, but it's quite clear what they meant once you start using this machine. I was concerned that the 8 gigabytes of RAM would not be enough, and I have yet to come across an issue with that. The way that this machine is optimized to run so many things at the same time, the way it optimizes what's on your screen and what it's using, it's just ridiculous. It is lightning fast. It is lightning fast on 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is ridiculous. And the entire device runs so smoothly. I'm sure you've heard many people say it before. Now, I'm not much of a gamer, so I haven't really played any crazy games on this myself, but I know people will say they've launched up large-scale MMOs that are highly graphics intensive, and they've had no issues whatsoever running those on the most graphic intense settings on this computer. There's been no issue. I do play Minecraft, and I was playing a heavily modded server on an insane render distance, and again, running totally smooth. Something that even my desktop iMac could not run smoothly. This little laptop could. It was impressive. The M1 chip, I cannot say enough good things about it. Like, really, even just as I navigate, like, I just shoot around. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of inhibited by my Wi-Fi, but I mean, if we'll just open up reminders, open up notes, like, everything is so fast on this computer in the way that it runs. It's just insane. It's insane how streamlined and optimized this computer is. It's also worth noting how incredibly quiet this computer is. I have used it intensively at times, and I have yet to hear the fan come on. So really impressive with how quiet this is. That's just a side note. Again, I don't even know if I've turned the fan on. And if I have, it has not been out of volume that I can hear. Very quiet. Very, very quiet. Again, this computer makes almost no noise. So next I want to talk about the battery life. Right now, I can see that my battery is at 92%. I've had this up and running all day, and it is 152. I've lost 8% since I started using this in the morning, and Safari is using significant energy. I can go to the battery preferences and see the performance. I have yet to have a day where I've needed to charge this. It has lasted me. I've not gone under 35% battery at any point in any day so far. The battery life on here really is impressive. You know, if I even go look at my usage history, like here you can see, again, it's not dropping at all. And I'm using it consistently for large portions of the day. Battery life is really, really impressive here, really solid, blows any previous Apple laptops out of the water in that regards. Hopefully the battery life maintains well past the 2, 3, 4 year mark. Hopefully it still holds a charge fairly well. But right now, like I said, I've had yet to even need to worry about bringing a charging cable with me anywhere because it's going to hold the charge for the full day. No problems. So finally, before we get to my thoughts on it, there's one last thing that I want to talk about, and that is the touch bar along the bottom here. Now, this is a relatively controversial feature, and I'm bringing up Final Cut Pro to demonstrate one of the things that I like about it. And that is, if I were to go into full screen mode on this, the touch bar shows everything that is going on, and I'll actually show this to you guys. The touch bar shows all the different cuts and segments in the movie file. I really like that. That's a really nice feature. And it does this for everything. It does it for Final Cut, it does it for music, it does it for YouTube videos. You can scrub using the touch bar, and that is probably my single favorite feature about it, but particularly its integration with Final Cut Pro, which now, of course, is optimized. And I should mention both Final Cut and Logic Pro run fantastic on here because they are optimized to run on this system. So I really love how that has worked so far. I have had some slight issues with Final Cut Pro actually, but overall it works really smoothly and efficiently, and so I've been very happy with the performance that I've been getting out of these apps, which are obviously Apple curated apps and streamlined to run on this laptop. But it is just worth mentioning just how good and how crisp it is. But that does bring me back to the touch bar. I love the integration of the touch bar with the Apple designed applications. I also love the predictive typing that the touch bar offers, like a phone. So if I'm writing an email, a document, whatever, instead of having the oftentimes what I find pretty lousy autocorrect on computers and laptops, I have multiple word choices, and I can also select words of my own that the computer has learned. And so that is a really, really nice feature of the touch bar. The drawbacks, I don't like not having actual keys for brightness, for volume, for different commands, all that stuff. That bothers me a little bit, especially given that the Touch ID, which is again is another nice feature, is a separate button of its own and not integrated into the touch bar. To me, I really dislike the fact that I have to, if I want to adjust the volume, I have to tap the touch bar, tap the volume, and then adjust the slider. I would really like buttons for that. Same thing with brightness and various other toggles that are missing here. So that is my one gripe with the touch bar, but overall I think I have more positive than negative on the touch bar. However, I know that that does in fact come down to personal preference. So at the end of the day, how do I feel about this brand new M1 MacBook Pro? I like it a lot. It's made my iPad Pro virtually obsolete to me. The Mac OS that is optimized to run on here is fantastic, and the way that Apple apps are optimized to run both on this computer and operating system are also fantastic. The M1 processing chip makes leaps and bounds of a difference, particularly for gaming. I can use a laptop, an Apple laptop, no less, for gaming, which is impressive. I do need a mouse, obviously. You know, gaming with a touchpad is not really possible. But again, Apple's Magic Mouse integrates seamlessly with their laptops, so not much of an issue, just a little bit of an added cost there. So all in all, a couple weeks in, I am really satisfied with this product. I may have an update for you down the road to see if I still love it as much as I do now, to see if it still holds up a year down the road, and to see if I still have the same positive things to say about it then that I do now. But other than that, guys, this is a great computer. I will say, I don't see the need for the 16 gigabytes of RAM. I've yet to come up to a point where I've needed that. Also, unless you're doing something insane with the computer, there's no need to configure it up to 2 terabytes of solid-state drive memory. That is ridiculous. You're never going to need that much storage space. At that point, you might as well just buy an external hard drive. It's a little less convenient, but it's probably going to save you money in the long term. So that's my thoughts on the MacBook Pro overall. I really like this. As I've said, I recommend getting it, but a more base version of it is acceptable because either way, it's just a really high performance computer. I hope you guys found this review useful. Stay tuned for more tech videos as well as other stuff like Lego unboxings, reviews, videos, etc. down the road. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing that content, and I will see you guys in the next video.